Hello, Hasset. Lesson 3, we're learning about something called absolute value. The absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and 0 on the number line. Absolute value is shown using two vertical lines on either side of a number. So sometimes you've seen parentheses around a number, but these are straight parentheses. And this is read as the absolute value of whatever number's inside of it. So for example, the absolute value of -5 is 5 because -5 is simply 5 units away from 0. The absolute value of 2 is just 2 because 2 is 2 jumps away from 0. So you can see that the absolute value of 2 is 2 because it's 2 jumps from 0. And the absolute value of -2 is also 2 because it is 2 jumps away from 0. So here's an example. What is the absolute value of 10? This right here with these bars, this is read absolute value of 10 because the bars mean absolute value and it's whatever number is inside. So the absolute value of 10 is 10. This shows why, because 10 is 10 jumps from 0. What is the absolute value of -10? This also says, what is the absolute value of -10? This can be read as absolute value of -10. Okay? So the absolute value of -10 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because that's how many jumps it is from 0. The absolute value of -10 is 10. Oh, sorry about that. Is 10 because -10 is 10 jumps away from 0. Example number 2. Let's look at why we might use absolute value. This is on the next page. Below are 3 temperature changes recorded in Denver last November. Determine which date had the greatest change. So when we're talking about the greatest change, we may not care whether the change is positive or is negative. We're just looking for which change is the biggest, right? So whether the temperature rose 12, which is a plus 12, or whether it fell 4 degrees, or whether it fell -17 degrees. We don't care whether it rose or fell. So the sign isn't what matters to us. What we care about is what is the greatest change. So the way that we can look at that is what is the absolute value of these numbers. So when we look at -12 or +12, we're looking at the absolute value of +12. Here's those bars. We're looking at the absolute value of -4. And we are looking at the absolute value of -17. Which one has the greatest absolute value? Well, the absolute value of 12 is 12. The absolute value of 4 is 4. And the absolute value of -17 is 17. Because that is the distance of each of them from 0. Which one is the greatest distance from 0? Well, this one is. So this was the greatest change in temperature.